Welcome to Adria in the north of Italy. The KZ2 final. We race! Wheel spin from Chris Harnan as he tries to go with Francesco Cialenta. From pole position, car number one takes the lead, but he's under immense pressure from the Dutch driver. Albanese has made a super start to move up into second place. What a start from Stan. From the third row of the grid in kart 13, he's already up into fourth place, right behind his teammate and his countryman, Chris Harnan. A clean start for the KZ2 final as they work their way out of the hairpin for the first time. It is the parallel kart leading from the Kart Republic. The two SP Motorsport KRs of the two Dutch drivers in third and fourth place. Into the hairpin for the first time, everyone going defensive. The first of the CPB Sport Cards up inside the top 10. The team that won this title, the Final Cup, with Adrian Renaudani in 2018. That was at Castelletto di Branduzzo. As they scream down the start-finish straight at over 140 k's an hour. Thomas Enberg, that's the French driver in the French kart. He's in position 6. Cialenta is under all sorts of pressure from his countrymen and the two Dutch drivers behind. The Paralin with 3 KRs breathing down his neck. Albanese looks behind him to see the menacing sight of the two ferocious Dutchmen, Chris Harnan and Stan Pex. Into the hairpin, white lines it. He won't lose the place, but he'll be slow on the exit, grabs another gear, races down through the chicane. Albanese throws it over the ripple strip, and now Cialenta's got some breathing space. Tries to build up a little bit of momentum now. Daniel Schell back in 9th position, already making moves in the Lenzo kart. He's the quickest on the circuit at the moment, stuck behind the Russian. There he is, Maxim Turiev. Paul Ribera goes through, he's in P11 ahead of Shevritalov, Nikita Artamanov and Mauro Simoni. A hectic start as Stan Pex and Chris Harnan tried to muscle their way by Danilo Albanese. There was contact between the Dutchman and the Italian. Cialenta is escaping down the road. There's Thomas Enberg going through. He's just ahead of Simon Prim. He's the top German in the 21 Lenzo kart. And as they race down the straight, the Vega tyres now up to temperature, despite the temperature here at the circuit being only 7 or 8 degrees Celsius. The cloud has not lifted all week. It has hovered over the circuit. Fortunately, it has not rained, and we are on a dry track here this afternoon. Through the chicane into the hairpin, the gap between Cialenta and Danilo Albanese. The Tuscan is half a second. Harnan with his teammate, team owner, Stan Pex behind. Stan Pex led for most of the pre-final before being passed by Albanese and his teammate on the very last lap. Now he goes by and repays the favour. Stan goes by Chris. The SP Motorsport team drivers trade positions. That's Lorenzo Travisanuto, who's just sat there and watched this battle rage in kart 2 in position 5. Started out of grid 3, didn't get the best start. He is the WSK Supermaster Series champion from 5 years ago at this circuit. He won the title. He won the first ever Final Cup in 60 Mini, would you believe? That was back in 2011 as Josef Valenta goes through. Of course, Lorenzo, a couple of world championships to add to the resume as well. He's in P5 here this afternoon. His teammate leads, goes defensive into the right-hander. Look at Chris get locked up as he uses the gearbox to slow down the car. Travis Venuto, quite a smoother driver, took a while to adapt to the KZ2 gearbox category. First race for Lorenzo in KZ2 was just a local round, the Italian series at the nearby Jesolo circuit, just to get a feel for changing gears using the front brakes. Of course, he was used to the front brakes from the dying days of KF. Finished only 9th or 10th in his first ever regional race at Jesolo. Said no problem, did some testing, did some more testing, did miles of testing, picked up the International Super Cup, and is now one of the established stars. Didn't take him that long in reality to get to the top of international KZ2 racing. He's off the podium at the moment. Chris Harnan is still just ahead, as is Stan Pex. Albanese is closing in on the back of Cialenta. The gap was half a second, it's down to 3/10. You can see it's just a few centimetres. Gets the run as they race down through the chicane. We've already passed 1/4 race distance, the WSK Final Cup here at Adria Karting Raceway. Talenta, Albanese, Pax, Hana, Travis Nuttall, Imberg. There is Artamanov going through ahead of the other Russian Chevritalov, Mauro Simone. Over the ripple strip goes Danilo Albanese. Makes up a little bit of a time, but smashes the underside of the number 3 kart in the process. Closes up on the back of Talenta. Fastest on the track is Stan Pegs. He's coming. Stan with a 47.909 in 3rd place. He's catching the 2 Italians who run 1-2 as we approach half race distance here this afternoon. Rides the ripple strip. Does Danilo Albanese under the bridge to start lap 8 of the 20-lap final. Thought about making a move as he used every piece of the runoff area and then some. The concrete verging on the exit of turn 1 to try and get a launch down into turn 2, but it was just too far back. There's Stan coming. His teammate Chris Harnett is following him. Team manager, team owner Richard Pex watching on from pit lane. His boys 3 and 4, including his younger son Stan, younger son of 2015 world champion Jorit, and of course Yard as well, who was racing with us in WSK, the International Series and the Euro Series a good decade ago or more. Stan, the youngest of the 3 brothers from the Netherlands, in P3 at the moment, but he's the quickest on the track. There's Travis Nuttall back in P5. Chris Harnett now with a 47.686. Both he and Stan are 0.2 of a second faster than the 2 Italians. The Dutchmen are coming. We approach half race distance of the WSK final here this afternoon. Down into the hairpin. Talenta goes defensive. He'll be slow on the exit. Danilo Albanese tries to round him up on the outside. Lines up into the sweeper, too far back. Talenta goes defensive. Here comes Stan down the inside, over the ripple strip. An aborted move, grabs another gear, and now Stan over the ripple strip tries to take the Tuscan. That did not work. That move was a failure from Albanese, and now he's under immense pressure. The 2 Dutchmen, as well as Lorenzo Travis Nuttall, are now hassling the back of the 3-time Rock Cup international champion. Danilo Albanese on the podium in the WSK Euro Series and the Masters Series. Earlier on in the season, tried to take the lead. It did not work. The yellow flag was briefly being waved. We've lost a couple of drivers, including, looks like Daniel Stell and Ivan Klemenko. They've had an incident, but managed to rejoin. But they're the best part of half a lap down. As is Andre Walter in the comp card, who's been in the top 10 throughout the week. Jakob Bergmeister, the non-starter. And it looks as though Norton Andreasen is the sole retirement, parked at the exit of the turn 5 hairpin. So the gap between Talenta and Albanese is now 0.8 of a second. Francesco's pulling away. Stan down the inside and takes Albanese. Ruthless is the Dutchman. Takes him, goes P2. Chris Harnett, what a move around the outside. He'll run out of road, but stays in there. Slams it down the inside. And Lorenzo Travi says thanks very much and takes him as well. So the Italians now 1, 4 and 5. Albanese from 2nd place tried to take the lead, and that has potentially cost him any chance of winning the WSK Final Cup. That move into the left-hander 3 laps ago did not work, and he's now being mauled by Pex, Hahn, and Travis Nuttall as well. Albanese back to B5. Talenta 1.1 seconds down the road. Travis Nuttall intelligently just sits there in 4th place, waiting for his chance to go by the first of the 2 Dutchmen in front of him. It's getting dark here at Adria. It won't be long before the sun sets behind the clouds here in the north of Italy as Travis Nuttall slams it down the inside. And Laurie is up on the podium. Danilo follows him through, so makes one back. He's in P4. Harmon back to 5. Stan's gone. Under the bridge goes Stan the man into turn 1. He's 1.1 seconds behind Francesco Talenta as we move into the second half of the WSK Final Cup for KZ2. Is Simon Prim in the background in the Lenzo kart. The team, the Sicilian team of Michele Lenzo, who won this race in 2017 with the Roman Francesco Iacovacci, and 2 years ago with the Swede Douglas Lundberg. Simon Prim driving a great race. In fact, the German has got by Thomas Enberg. Marcus Kayak's in 8th. Paul Ribera, the Austrian, is ahead of the 2 Russians, Yaroslav Shevritalov, who's in P10, 14 Komarov, and Nikita Artamanov, who's a place outside the top 10 in the number 40 Maranello kart. There he is for SRP Racing. Goes down into turn 1, does Nikita, ahead of Giorgio Carrara. There's the Argentine going through in yet another Lenzo kart. Last year racing in the FIA Formula 3 Championships for Jensen Motorsport. This year with the Lenzo kart team in KZ2. Giorgio Carrara in this 34 kart field. He's in P12 at the moment, ahead of Dubyan and Turiev. The Russians are ubiquitous. Giorgio Carrara with 2 Russians ahead, Shevritalov and Artamanov, and 2 behind in Andrei Dubyanin and Maxim Turiev. Surely Francesco Cialenta can hold on from here. The gap is 1 second. He's controlling the pace of this race, but Stan's coming for him. 1.143 seconds. Cialenta last time around a 47.791 versus a 47.8 for Stan Pex. Albanese tries to retake his countryman. At the moment, Travis on the podium in P3 in the number 2 Paralin. His teammate leads, Stan Pex. Remember that brilliant race between Senna and Stan in the first round of the WSK Open Cup at South Garda Karting Lonato. Senna taking the victory from Stan. At the moment, it looks as though it will be another second place, as well as Danielo has a big look at the back of Travi. Chris, P5. So the SP Motorsport karts, 2nd and 5th. And it's Prim, Imberg, Marcus Kayak, doing a fine job as the Estonian for Ward Racing. He's ahead of Imberg, Ribera, Artamanov, Shevritalov, Giorgio Carrara goes down. That was Maxim Turiev. Ahead of Celian Galassian for SC Performance. Travis Anuto under pressure here. As we look at the race leader, Francesco Cialenta, he'll almost get into lap traffic as we go into the final third of this race. Travis Anuto and Albanese. So we've got an Italian in 1st, also in 3rd and 4th, and the 2 Dutchmen either side in 2nd and 5th. Back to Simon Prim from Deutschland in the Sicilian Lenzo kart, just trying to drag himself into this battle. In the 21 Lenzo kart, down the inside goes Albanese. Takes the place, he's back on the podium. Travi tries to take him back. Look at Chris Harnan. Tries to highline IndyCar style, and he takes him. Nicely done by Chris Harnan. Moves back into 4th place. So it's Albanese in 3rd from Chris. Travis Anuto from 3rd is back to 5th. He's fallen off the podium. Into the hairpin, will he make a move? Chris covers his line, White lines it. No chance for Travis Anuto that time, down through the chicane, over the ripple strip. Albanese now tries to build a break over Chris Harnan, looks over his right shoulder. Stan disappears at the bottom of your screen. Down into turn 1 and turn 2. Cialenta with 1.2 seconds from Stan. Pex won't do it unless a disaster befalls the driver from Salerno, not far from Circuito Internazionale Napoli, where we race in 2022. Both the WSK Supermaster Series and the Euro Series as well. Chris Harnan just sits there. Albanese, 3rd. He's been on the podium multiple times already in 2021. Fastest qualifier earlier on in the series. In the year, I should say, in the Supermaster Series off memory. I stand corrected on that. Albanese, kart 3 going through. He is from Tuscany or Toscana. International kart race for the best part of the last decade. He's on the podium. Kart 3 in position 3. Travis Anuto back to 5. That's Prim in the background. And Marcus Kayak, the Estonian for Ward Racing, in the Vortex-powered Tony Kart, Kart 37. He's driving a nice race here this afternoon. Marcus in 7th from Rivera. Imberg and Nikita Artamanov, the Russian, rounds out the 10. Last lap board next time round. Stan Pex is too far back. The gap is 1.4 seconds. It's blown out. There goes Francesco. There's Stan in the background. The last ronde for Stan Pex. Ultimo giro per Francesco. This is the last lap of the WSK Final Cup. Cilenta, if he wins this, it will be an extremely well-deserved victory. Cilenta last time round blew the lead out to 2 seconds. Pex has got no response. He won the pre-final, the Paralin Motorsport team. What a year it has been for them. Kart 1 started position 1 from pole position. Francesco Cilenta comes out of the hairpin for the final time. Down through the chicane. The checkered flag is about to wave. He waves to the crowd, grabs another gear. He wins the WSK Final Cup. A super deserving victor is Francesco Cilenta. Stan Pex across the line in 2nd place. And Danilo Albanese fights back after dropping down to 5th earlier on to take the final step of the podium. Chris Harnan was P4 ahead of Travis Venuto. Good drive from Prim, Kayak, Ribera, Imberg and Nikita Artamanov in position 10. There is the race victor. Francesco Cilenta, as Andre Walter does cross the line in P27 in the comp kart. And the final finisher is Victor Turkian in P28. Cilenta, excelente. Absolutely excellent was Francesco. He takes the victory. 2.2 seconds was the margin at the end of the race. Had it under control the entire time and will stand on the top step of the podium here at Adria in a few moments. From pole position, he launched into the lead. It was a good start by Albanese from the 2nd row of the grid to go by Chris Harnan. In the opening stages of the race, the Italians ran 1-2. Albanese tried to make the move right here for the lead, and that cost him the chance of victory. Cilenta resisted him superbly as the 2 Dutch drivers threw absolutely everything, including their own nose cone and kart, at the other Italian drivers around them. Nobody would catch Cilenta. He pulled away to win by 2.2 seconds. Albanese, he dropped back to P5, fought his way back onto the podium. Cilenta wins it for the Paralin Motorsport team. A super deserving victor here this afternoon. Cilenta wins the WSK Final Cup, the 10th edition of this race, which started at Ortona in the south of Italy back in 2011. Pex 2nd, Albanese on the podium 3rd. Chris Harnan 4th, Travi was 5 ahead of Simon Brim. Good drive from Marcus Kayak ahead of Paul Ribera for the KZ2. Virulat Austria team, he's been great all week. Thomas Imberg and Nikita Artamanov. Chevritalov, Carrara, Dubinin, Turiev, Galasin ahead of Segre Leblomko. Mihai Munsiam, CJ Bonninghausen was ahead of Jenna Civico, who had a disappointing afternoon, finishing in 20th place. Behind him, Nayadzev, bravissimo, Nicolo Marchetto, his first ever international pro race, and he's finished 22nd in this world-class field for Team Yezelo race, ahead of Darius Kotiga, Daniel Stell, Ivan Klimenko, Valenta, Walter, and Victor Turkin, the final finisher. Cilenta wins.